So when I had my knee replacement at age 52, I guess it was, I figured my life was over. No exercise for me, maybe walk my dogs, but that would be it. And that was such a fallacy. And I finally came across a video of someone who was a little older, who was not perfectly fit, who, had a few extra pounds, and she was out there shuffle dancing. And I thought, oh my God, if she can do it, maybe I can do it. But I also noticed that even in 5 minutes, I had really worked up a sweat. And the time just started flying by. Like I would go into my little side room and I'd practice for 10 or 15 or 20 minutes. And I didn't even realize how much time had passed. And I think that was the first time in my entire life that I was doing an exercise that was enjoyable and where the time was flying by.
Hello, you are listening to the Late Bloomer Living podcast. I'm Yvonne Marchese, your host, and I'm so happy you're here. I created this podcast to give you inspiration and let you know you're not alone in feeling stuck in midlife. I also invite you to join the Age Agitators Club for women, where we come together monthly to hatch our plans for making waves as we age. Being part of this community for women will remind you on a regular basis that you're not too old and it's never too late to do that thing you've been thinking about. You can find more information at latebloomerliving.com/community, and I hope to see you there. Hello, my friend. Have you ever wanted to try something new, but you held yourself back because you thought, oh, I'm too old for that, or I've never been any good at that, which leads to I'll never be any good at that? Well, today's conversation is about to shake up those limiting beliefs. I'm talking with Shanon Hunt. She's the founder of Midlife Shuffle on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. She is somebody who went from being someone who was too afraid to dance, even at her own wedding, to building a massive following as a shuffle dancer in her 50s. Oh, and did I mention she did this after having 2 knee replacements? Yeah. Shanon's story, it's about way more than dance. It's about proving to yourself that you can learn new things. You can move past fear. And you can rewrite the rules around what's possible in midlife. I'm so excited for this conversation. We're going to talk about how baby steps lead to big transformations, why exercise should feel like play, and how shifting your mindset can change everything. And trust me, you're going to want to stay till the end because Shanon shares her secret to pushing through fear, and it's a game changer. So if you've ever thought, I wish I could do that, this episode is for you. Stick around, get inspired. Let's shake things up together. Shanon, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you, Yvonne. I'm so excited to be here.
One of the things that really caught my attention, and one of the first things I saw about you, is that you didn't consider yourself to be a dancer. In fact, I think you said in one of your posts that you didn't even dance at your own wedding because you were so fearful of dancing in public. And now you're on YouTube. I can't remember where I saw, whether it's Instagram or on YouTube, 75,000 followers, at least at the time when I looked at it. So that's dancing in front of a lot of people, Shanon.
It is. It is. And it has been it's been terrifying from the start, and now it is such a wonderful thing.
That's so crazy and great. So as a non-dancer, what made you decide to even try shuffle dancing?
You know, I have always just really admired people who danced and just love watching really skilled people out there. And for somebody who couldn't even hold a beat, I was such a wallflower type of a person who would stand at the bar and watch everybody dance, and it would just kill me that I couldn't be out there dancing. And as I was joining TikTok and trying to, get on and see what the world of social media was like, and I was a really late bloomer to social media as well. As soon as I got onto social media, I started seeing these dance videos. And I thought, oh, that'd be so great if I could learn how to do that. I mean, this shuffle dancing, it's such an illusion. It looks kind of like you're floating. such a beautiful type of dance. And it was cool and trendy, and I see all these people at, with their videos at festivals dancing out in front of all the people. And I just always admired that. And I finally came across a video of someone who was a little older, who was not perfectly fit, who, had a few extra pounds. And she was out there shuffle dancing. And I thought, oh my God, if she can do it, maybe I can do it. And granted, she wasn't as old as me, but, I thought, well, my fitness level looked about the same as hers. I also was, a little heavy. And I thought, well, maybe I'll give it a try.
Wow. So how did you start? Did you start by finding tutorials online? Like,
Well, I actually had a really hard time with it because I did start looking for tutorials online. I went to YouTube and I found tutorials, but they were too fast. They weren't done very well. They were short little clips of somebody, slowing down a tiny little bit. And of course, I couldn't see what the moves were. None of it was, I wasn't comprehending it. And so I finally figured out that I can slow the videos way down. And that was, a social media trick that I had to learn along the way. Slow the videos way down and then just try to mirror their movements. Only it was pretty hard. I mean, I really struggled. I had I had set up my camera on a little stand, my phone on a little stand, in a side bedroom, had furniture all over the place. I didn't have any kind of a mirror in there, but there was a TV. And I used the TV to try to, like, my silhouette in the TV to try to see what my form was like. I
okay,
would look at the
yeah.
picture and then I would look at my silhouette in the TV and I would say, they look kind of similar. And that part was a real struggle. But I did find that, once I figured out, and I had learned backwards from what I teach people now. Nobody told me how to do it. So now I teach people to do it the correct way, but I had kind of learned in sort of a backward way. And it seemed to, at the time, sort of work. And I looked at my picture, or I looked at my image in the TV and thought, wow, that actually kind of looks like I'm doing it. Very, very slow and awkward and choppy, stompy and loud. But I also noticed that even in 5 minutes, I had really worked up a sweat. And the time just started flying by. Like I would go into my little side room and I'd practice for 10 or 15 or 20 minutes. And I didn't even realize how much time had passed. And I think that was the first time in my entire life that I was doing an exercise that was enjoyable and where the time was flying by. And I would have to say to myself, because I had had a knee replacement and I didn't want to overdo it because I didn't know how this dancing would affect the knee replacement.
Okay, wait a minute. Right. You had a knee replacement. I
Yes,
just want I want I didn't want that to go by without people hearing that you had a knee replacement and you were doing this and you were able to do it. But you were going slow to because were you nervous about you were nervous about that.
I was really nervous
Yeah.
because, I had read a lot of stuff about my knee replacement, and my knee replacement was a year before I started dancing. And I
Okay.
had always read that, once you get a knee replacement, really all you'll be able to do is walk to your car or walk to the refrigerator or, make it through a grocery store without, feeling pain and agony. That was what I learned about knee replacement. So when I had my knee replacement at age 52, I guess it was, I figured my life was over. No exercise for me, maybe walk my dogs, but that would be it. And that was such a fallacy. And I still, hear people talk about, hear people warn me on social media, oh, you should not be doing this on a knee replacement. Are you crazy? You're going to destroy your knee and, all that money and all that time will be wasted. And it's really hard for me to change that perception in people. Like that has just been ingrained. But,
Mm.
I have a philosophy about knee replacement, and that is, we have no idea the capability of our bodies to adapt to any kind of a traumatic, invasive surgery like a knee replacement. But we will adapt to almost anything. And then the other thing is the technology now for knee replacements is way different than it used to be. And so now that, we have really solid titanium, I have no cement in my knee. My knee has literally grown into the prosthetic and it's incredibly strong. Honestly, I feel a little bit bionic. My knees feel stronger now than they've ever felt. And so, I'm really working hard to try to change this mindset of people, that a knee replacement can really be life-changing, a new lease on life.
That's amazing. And now you had two knee replacements, correct?
I did, yeah.
When did the second one happen and what were the, like, if you don't mind, what were the circumstances around that?
Yeah, but I had had bad knees for years and years. I mean, and I tried to be as sporty as I could. I went through a phase where I wanted to be a runner. And so, I ran some 5Ks and stuff. And I just lived with this pain for so long, for so many years. For my left knee, it was pretty much since I was 18 because I had an ACL tear at that time.
Wow.
And
Wow.
that never fully repaired, even after they did the surgery. I was in so much pain all my life and just lived on Advil. I mean, just pouring Advil down my throat all the time. And
Mm.
I just did it kind of out of habit. I wake up in the morning, I pop some Advil. A few hours later, I pop some more Advil. And that was just like such a horrible way to live. I didn't even realize how great life could be without pain. I just lived with pain for so long. My second knee replacement now is 10 months old. It was done in March last year, 11 months almost. Done in March last year. And it was a lot harder than the first one. I had several trips back to the hospital for intense swelling. And I really, really thought this was it, that the dancing was over, that this just wouldn't repair. And I was pretty terrifying. I would go back and watch my own dance videos and kind of cry, you
Mm.
know, like I
Yeah.
had lost, a great big part of me. However, it fixed itself, and 5 months later, I was back to dancing again.
Wow. That's amazing. And now I watch your videos and who would ever know? I would never know that you had knee replacements.
Yeah,
And
I
do you feel good? Like you feel strong and solid and
totally strong and solid, 100%.
that's
And I
amazing.
didn't when I first started. I mean, there is this, period of time where you have to rebuild all the muscle. And, there's a whole bunch of swelling and inflammation and all of that horrible stuff. And it's not perfect. I still have a little bit of swelling
Hmm.
down in the knee. These things take usually a year to 2 years to fully resolve.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels strong. I don't have pain at the end of my dance sessions. I feel terrific.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're letting yourself be guided by what your body's telling you, it sounds like to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And initially, even when I got back to dancing at 5 months, I was dancing for 5 minutes and that was it. And we're
Yeah.
done for the day. And then the
That's
next
about where
day,
I'm at, Shannon. And I love I love because boy, when I the first videos that I found for tutorials, it was like, okay, this is how you do the running man. This is how you do the T-step. This is how you do Polly Pocket. And there's a lot of jumping around with those moves. And I was like, after like a minute of Running Man, I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm sucking wind. I can't, I have built up a little bit so that I can go longer now. And I love that one of the videos that I am following of yours that is a tutorial is a low impact one. And that's been really nice to work with because it is, and you break down your videos in such a good way at this point where I love that you turn your back, you explain that what we're going to be doing, you show the dance at full speed first, and then you say, okay, we're going to do this. And you turn your back and you say, this is an 8 count, and we're going to do this step and this step and this step. It's all very broken down in a way that I can understand it. And what I end up doing with your videos is I started a new one last night, by the way. I can't remember the name of what it was. It was one you just posted, the walking something or other.
oh, the walking dance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the walking dance. So I started trying to learn that in my kitchen last night, and I had to go back over this one section like At least 20 times, I'm sure. But anyway, I love the way you're breaking down the videos. And when you turn your back to the camera, it lets me know that oh, okay, that's my left foot going that way, my right foot going that way. Because I've tried to learn from other people's, as you said, very short videos or they're doing full speed and they're turned forward to the camera, and then I've got to transpose, oh, what left is that, their left foot or their right foot doing that?
And that was like the thing that I was so frustrated about when I was trying to learn. I couldn't find anybody who would turn their back to me. And if you've ever gone to, any kind of a class, like at a gym or anything like that, the instructor is at the front facing the mirror, and everybody else is following the instructor from behind. So
Yeah,
why in tutorials, online tutorials, are people not getting that concept? I think
right.
that is probably the greatest thing that I did in my tutorials that other people aren't doing. Even if they slow it way down, mirroring is a lot harder than following
Yes,
from behind. Yeah.
truly, truly, truly hard. I've been trying to learn another one recently, and it was from the front, and I'm like, left, left, right, right. Oh, what am I doing?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Wow, you are unstoppable. 'Cause I'm just thinking about that 5 months of not dancing minimum, right? Or what was it, 5 months with the knee
It was five
replacement?
months. Yeah.
What did that feel like to not be able to dance?
Oh, it was horrifying. I think I fell into a major depression. I was, angry and upset, crying all the time. It's like I lost my whole identity, the identity of dancing and the identity of teaching, in my social media engagement. Like that was my whole life. And then just suddenly it was gone. And of course, I knew that I would be having to go through rehab, but I did not know how hard that was going to hit me emotionally. It was really, really a bad time in my life.
I can
And that
relate.
coupled, of course, with all the pain that goes through the rehab of a knee replacement. I mean, I've never had anything else replaced. I've only had bad knees, but I hear that knee replacement recovery is probably one of the hardest surgical recoveries out there. You don't just get to rest. You have to do an active, painful rehab program to get it back going again before the scar tissue builds up. And so, I was really, really working hard
Yeah.
to get that, to get past this pain stage, but it took forever. I would
Mm.
see people, at my physical therapist way ahead of me in their rehab. And it was so frustrating because I wanted it more than anybody. These were people who were only rehabbing so that they could walk to their car without pain. And I wanted it so that I could dance, so I just really passionately, aggressively took on this, rehab program and just couldn't catch up to these people who were flying past me and,
Ah,
competitive
so
as well.
frustrating,
And
right?
so, of course,
Was
that
your physical therapist encouraging of you getting back to dancing?
100%.
That's
So
awesome.
did my surgeon because my surgeon, I had the same surgeon for both knees. And when I had gone back to, start talking about the second knee, I showed him my videos and he was blown away, blown away. And then he started following me so that he could use my videos to show other potential patients.
Oh, that's awesome. That
And
is so cool.
he still does. He still follows my videos and shows
That
them,
is
a knee
amazing.
replacement, and you can be capable of this.
You
But
are giving hope
also,
to people. That is, you gotta love that, right?
yeah, and I'm in northern Utah near Park City, and we have, this is a very outdoorsy, sporty area. And so a lot of people who are getting knee replacements, especially younger ones, are doing it so that they can get back to their sport. They have
Mm-hmm.
not shut their sport down, especially, I know people who have knee replacements who are skiing moguls, which, 10 years ago would have sounded insane.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, e- Everything that you're talking about, it's just, I think it's so important that we get to do the things that we love to do. And there's so much about aging that is in the culture that tells us when we get to a certain point that it's over, that of course your body is breaking down because you're getting older. And so when we hear that and then we reinforce it with our own words and our thoughts, it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I love how determined you were to not let that happen. Um, yeah, I'm just so inspired by this. I am using the shuffle dance as a way to complement my roller skating because I'm trying to learn how to roller dance. And I feel like they're very simpatico, and I can't roller skate right now. So one of the reasons I asked you about how you feel not being able to dance is I'm really bummed that I can't go skate right now. Shannon. I'm a little depressed because I don't have an indoor place to do it, and the winter here is not allowing for it at the moment. So,
Uh,
oh, but
yeah. So
I am having
you know what I was going through.
I do a little bit. And it's when I can't move my body in a fun way. Like, do I like to work out? No. Do I like to do things that are fun with my body when I like skating for me is fun, paddleboarding for me is fun. I think you've tapped into something that, as you said, it's exercise, but it's fun. It's playful.
Exactly. And I never would have ever thought that exercise could be fun. And I know people who love to go out for a run or they love to go out for, a hike or something. And to me, running, I mean, I tried it. I hated it. I hated every single
Hate
step.
it. Hate
I
it.
couldn't wait till it was over.
Yeah,
And
I'm
then,
with you.
I went to the gym to do weightlifting and I hated it. So boring. I just couldn't stand it. And to find something and then to find something like this, which was so totally out of character for me, dancing like just seemed, I never would have thought. And I cannot stop. I have to force myself to stop. I'll look at the clock and I'll be like, okay, I've been here for 2 hours. I really should get back out and do some chores. And I'll be like, okay, just 10 more minutes, just 10 more minutes. And never in my life would I have thought that exercising, that I would be wanting to continue exercising like beyond some time, arbitrary time, like 1 hour.
Yeah.
I have to force myself to stop every single day.
Amazing. I love that. Yeah. So, okay, so you started the dancing, you had the knee replacement, you got back to the dancing. At what point did something in you go, I think I need to start making videos and put them out in the world?
I actually started doing that pretty quickly. And I'll tell you why. I had had a different account with for a different part of my life
Uh-huh.
where I was making some content, but I was getting zero views, like, I don't know, 10, 20, maybe 100 views, where I'd be like, oh, 100 views. And the first time I posted a dance video, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to try this. I can take it down if people are laughing at me, not a big deal. I'm just going to try it. And I did. It was a terrible, terrible video. It was, I didn't have the music right. I was in this horrible space. The video quality was terrible. And I put it up there and immediately got several thousand views, like something I had never seen in all of my other content that I had worked so hard. I mean, I like worked really hard to make really cool videos and getting no views. And suddenly this terrible dance video that was 8 seconds long was getting thousands of views. And all I did was do the dance at the half speed, and then do the dance at full speed, 8 seconds long. And people were watching it and it was insane. And I'm like, I kind of like this. I liked the attention.
Uh-huh.
And that's honestly, for the beginning part, that's really why I continued doing it, even with the bad quality.
Yeah, fascinating. What can I ask what your content was before you started posting the dance videos?
Yeah, I had joined TikTok because I had heard that you could sell books that you had written on TikTok, that would be a great way to promote your books.
Yeah, we
I'm
haven't
an
even talked about
author.
the fact you're an author, right?
I am an author, yes.
Wow, that's oh my gosh. Okay, so you got on to try to as a marketing thing for selling books. And what was the content? Was it like behind the scenes stuff? Was it about writing? What were you talking about?
Well, I had paid for a course, and the course was actually really helpful because the course taught me how to make content for TikTok, specifically for TikTok. And I had no idea, no clue how to ever make content, zero. And they give you kind of some ideas for, these are the types of videos that you make for what's called book talk, which is a subgroup within TikTok. These are the types of videos that sell, you need to do a video like this, you need to do a video like this. And so I did all of my, required videos. Like some of them were just flipping through a book in slow motion until, it lands on the title, like things like that.
Uh-huh.
And then also, promoting other people's books because you don't want to sound like, you're only promoting your own book.
Right.
So I had actually gotten pretty good in front of the camera for that stuff, but it was all just face-to-face stuff. It was just talking to the camera or, changing a couple scenes or, it was sitting down stuff. It wasn't exercising in front of a camera. And it certainly wasn't showing my entire body in front of a camera, which was terrifying because I hated my body. I was
Uh-huh.
I was heavy, and so I, always kept the camera, you know, neck up and didn't want people to see that I was pretty heavy. And
Yeah.
so dancing heavy was that was a whole big change of mindset. That was really scary.
That is another thing that I think probably had a lot to do with people being able to relate to you. When it's like when you saw that woman who you felt like was at about your fitness level or thereabouts, when you can see yourself in somebody else and go, oh, if they can do it, maybe I can do it. That's so huge. When we're willing to, oh my gosh, I'm getting all verklempt, but when we're willing to be vulnerable, I'll say, and show those parts of ourselves that we consider to be less than or unworthy, but we do it anyway. Somebody else, you never know, might see that and go, wow, if she can do it, maybe I can do it. And that is like a gift that you have given people.
That that is what gets me out of bed every single day. It used to be about my dancing, and to be honest, it used to be a little bit about showing off because I've never been able to dance in my life. That was, such a horrible, terrifying thing. And now suddenly I've taken that on and I felt pretty good about my skills. And that was, such a great, such a great feeling to be able to look at somebody, like you said, and say, okay, if that person can do it, maybe I can do it. And then once I did it, all I wanted to do was give that to everybody else because it changed my life. And now, people, if they can look at me and I'm proudly say that I'm 56 years old. I proudly said that I weighed, I don't now, but I proudly said that I weighed 165 pounds. I laid it all out there and said, if I can do this, you can do it. That was my mantra. And oh my God, like to get the comments that I get, sometimes I literally cry. I have saved comments on my phone, taken a screenshot and saved them. And, if I ever feel down or feel like, I'm putting all this time in and not getting appreciated for it or hate mail, I open those things and I swear my eyes tear up. One woman told me she couldn't even climb a flight of stairs, couldn't even do it. She had to rest on the landing where she had a chair so that she could continue up this, the second part of the stairs.
Mm.
And she said, now I am flying up the stairs, no problem. And
Wow.
she's like in her late 60s.
I hope that's on your like your home screen of your phone so it just shows up every time you put your phone on.
It is so rewarding. It's so rewarding. And
Wow.
also, I want women and men, everybody of our age, to never think that they have outgrown something they want to do.
Mm.
Now, sure, if their health is bad, they might need to start slow. And I've tried to get people, with my low impact shuffle series, if people aren't quite ready to be jumping around, there's ways that you can start and ease into it because and it's not even for the health reasons. There are so many health reasons, obviously, to dancing or exercising, but it's really for the mental part of it. I don't want anybody to think that they're old. I want them to believe that they can do things that young people are doing. They might not do it on a beach in a bikini, but they can still do it and feel good about themselves. And oh, it's so good for your own self-esteem and your own self-image.
Uh,
I started I started wearing makeup. I hadn't worn makeup in years. I started wearing makeup. I started curling my hair. I got a new, a different wardrobe that made me feel as young, that made me look as young as I felt.
Yeah.
And that has been transformational.
Yeah. And it also, I'm just going to speak from my personal experience of taking this on. The world is cray cray right now. It's all very stressful. The news cycle is insane. And every time I pick up my phone for anything and just briefly go into social media to check something, it's like an assault, right? If I just put down the phone and I go in and I dance for 5 minutes, it is a complete transformation of my energy level, my feeling of hopefulness. It's fun. Even when I'm screwing up, it's fun. It's a challenge. It's like, oh, and it's the same thing that I find with paddleboarding and roller skating and shuffle dance, that the common denominators for that for me, because I do like to move my body for play, the common denominators is that they require so much focus that I can't worry about all the other things. The worry about all the things just drops away, at least for those 5 minutes that I'm dancing in my kitchen or in my backyard or wherever. It is such stress relief.
It totally is. And you're right. It does even when you become, a pretty good dancer, it's still very mental. You have to focus on what moves you're doing next. And there's just no way to think about anything else. And so, when I'm stressed, or even when I'm sort of, looking at a blank page of paper where I'm supposed to be writing my next chapter for my next book, and nothing is coming to me, put it down, go dance for a little bit, clears my mind. I can begin all over again. And that actually really is a really helpful thing.
Okay, there's two more things I want to ask you about before we wrap up. Um, One of them is about your writing, because I don't know much about you as an author. I have not delved into that. So you are still writing, it sounds like. That's very cool. And the last the other one that I'm gonna park the question here to go back to in a second is that when you and I first spoke, I asked you about whether or not you were monetized on YouTube or something like that. And you were, oh, I was asking you about the music usage. Like, how are you doing music usage and not getting, like, how do you do that with a dance video without getting copyright issues? Well, you're not monetized. So that's a huge part of it. And so I want to talk about, and you told me you don't want to be monetized. So those are two things I want to do before we get off the call today. Tell me a little bit about your writing first.
Yeah, I retired at age 48. I worked in biotech. And at age 48, well, by retired, I mean kind of quit because I reached my level of frustration. I couldn't go any further. So I left work at 48. I floundered around for a year. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And, like if you've worked your entire life like I have, that's your sense of purpose. And so one day, if you wake up and you don't have emails to answer and you don't have issues to address, that's really quite stifling. And so I had some trouble with that. But after a while, I thought, write a book just out of nowhere. Never wanted to write a book in my life, never even thought of the idea. But there was, right when I left biotech, there was a new technology, a scientific technology coming out, and it was really quite interesting to me. And I thought, if I took this dark technology, down sort of an evil path, that would actually make a pretty good thriller. And so I woke up and I wrote a chapter and I took it into my husband and I said, does this sound like a book? And he goes, yeah, actually, that's pretty good. And so the next day I wrote another chapter, and the next day I wrote another chapter, and I became obsessed with writing. That's all I did all day long, every single day. And in 4 months, I had a novel, and it was twice the size of a regular novel. And I found an editor, and she said, this is never going to work. It's too long. And so I learned a lot about paring that down, and she helped me. But A year after that, I published it and I was really, really proud of that work. And, this was kind of just a late stage, random life change.
I love it. You're fearless, man. Well, you may not be fearless, but you seem to be able to move through fear. Okay, so I'm gonna ask one more question. What's your secret there? What's your secret to just being like, okay, I'm just gonna write a novel and I'm just gonna publish it and I'm just gonna post these videos of myself dancing on YouTube. What helps you to get to do that?
I think the common denominator there is just this idea that if it doesn't work, I'll stop. I'll try something else. And, with writing the novel, I wasn't really putting myself out there by sitting down at my own computer, writing something privately to myself, and it's just kind of a one day at a time. All right, I'm going to try it today. If it doesn't work, I'll try something else. The next day, I still like it. I'm going to keep going. If it doesn't work tomorrow, I'll try something else. And I think I think that was a pretty easy way into it. But of course, there is this point where you cross over to put yourself out there. Like the day I saw my book show up on Amazon, I was shaking like a leaf. I couldn't even look at my computer. I was terrified of the feedback I'd get. And the same thing with making my first content on TikTok, the book content, even though it was, a 4-second video that didn't even have my face in it, I was terrified. I was shaking. And I guess maybe you just, you do those little things in small doses. And like I said, I could always pull it down. Even my novel, I could have pulled it down and just removed it from Amazon if it didn't work, or if I was getting all, this is the worst book I've ever read, the worst book I've ever read, worst book I've ever read, then I would have pulled it down. And, every time I post a dance video, I'm nervous. I'm nervous. Did I get everything right in there? Did I get, are the subtitles coming in correctly and all that stuff? But in my mind, I'm like, if it's wrong or if it's terrible, I'll pull it down. And I don't know, I guess that just knowing that I've always had an out and nothing has ever permanent, I think has kept me able to keep pushing through.
It sounds like you hold it lightly.
Yeah, it's just one step. If you
Yeah.
try one step and it works, then you're emboldened to try the next step and it works. It's kind of the same thing with dancing. I said, I'm going to try one step, and if it works, maybe I'll try another step. And I did. And I went out and I said, okay, I learned that. It was hard, but I learned it. So let's learn the next thing. And writing a book, I'm going to write one chapter. And if I feel good about that, I'm going to write the next chapter. I think these baby steps are what really helps. And then every time you have a success, if I make a dance video and it gets a lot of views, I'm emboldened to make another dance video.
Love it.
I, I don't, I mean, I think that this whole, you said it before, this whole, people getting this mindset of, I'm never going to be able to do it. It's that they're looking at the end product of something. They're looking at a published book and saying, I'll never be able to do it. They're looking at a dance video saying, I'll never be able to do it. But what they don't see is everything that happens before you get to that end result. It's all of these baby steps. We all go through the same ones. And I just want people to know that, just try. If you try it and you hate it, stop. If you try it and you love it, try taking the next baby step. And this mindset that we have when we get older, that we've missed all that, that, yeah, sure, I could have done that when I was 20, but there's no way I can do that when I'm 50. I just so badly want people to know that that's not true.
Exactly. We are living longer and longer and longer. This is what hit me when I was 48 is when I woke up and realized I was being super ageist to myself. I was feeling that. I was feeling like I was feeling like a failure. I was feeling like it was all over, all downhill from here, all the cliches until, well, first of all, I started taking better care of myself. And that started to give me energy and a little bit of confidence and I don't know what it was. It shifted things to start meditating and moving my body every day in the mornings. But what happened is once I realized, wait a minute, I'm 48 years old. I am very likely, because I'm pretty healthy overall, I'll probably live into my 80s, maybe my 90s. That's a lot of time. Am I really just going to sit around for the next 30, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years going, oh, well, I'm done. It's all over. And I found that to be completely unacceptable.
I know. And, as you say, we are living longer. We still have another whole life ahead of us, practically. And so why would, being 50 suddenly say your life is over? That's crazy. You could still have 40 more years. I, yeah, that mindset I think is really destructive to people's self-esteem when they start hitting age 50.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And younger even because it happened to me in my 40s. I'm just
Yeah.
saying my 40s were rough because that was the trash talk in my head. I was looking in the mirror going, what is going on with my body? Oh my gosh, what is going on with my face? What is going on? This isn't me. And it was distressing. It was
Uh,
distressing to watch myself aging. And then, and now I'm like, well, what's wrong with aging? So I'm aging. That's living. Now I look in the mirror and there's more gray hair and I'm letting it fly and but I look in the mirror now and I'm not expecting perfection the way I did when I was younger and it feels a lot more free to me. Do you find that?
yeah, I do. And I actually did make a video about that too, that, once we hit 50, we just don't care what people think. And I always did. I was afraid to speak a word unless I was so confident in what I said. I would never ask a question because I thought it was going to be stupid. I would never put myself out there because that was going to be so humiliating, when everybody thought I looked stupid or, I hid my body because I was afraid of every tiny little curve. And then you hit age 50 and suddenly you're like, why? Why did I do that? And I made a video about that and I got so many comments back from people who said the exact same thing. They're like, oh, as soon as I turned 50, like suddenly I was enlightened, my whole mind opened, and I'm here for me now. All of my life, I was here for kids, I was here for husband, I was here for job. Now I am here for me. And I love when people get that. I
I
love that.
hope that that is true for everybody. I don't know if it is, but I hope that that is true for everybody. That is what I want for everybody. That's why I do this podcast is like accept yourself and have fun with yourself. Like go explore what's going on and don't stop. Don't stop, you know?
Yeah.
Let's real quick talk about your YouTube journey and and that experience and why you don't want to monetize. And I'm not, first of all, I just want to say, uh, I think people should monetize if they want to. If people want to make money around something that they do, I think that's a beautiful thing. It allows you to keep going. But if you don't, can you speak to that for a second? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. I committed from the very beginning not to monetize. I had seen so many other dancers who were dancing and making tutorials. And some of these programs, really aren't cheap. I kind of looked into there to see what other people were making. And and also their programs weren't that great. They weren't really the type of tutorials that I do and that I think people appreciate. The ones where I'm talking, going very slow, talking through every step. I think people need that. And I was never gonna make people pay for that. It is so much more rewarding to me for people to say, just send me a quick message and say, this is working for me. This is changing the way I feel about myself. That's worth gold.
Okay, so I'm giving you your gold right now, Shannon. Your tutorials are fantastic. I am loving them, and they are changing my life.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all the payment I need right there.
As a content creator, that really is it's worth in gold. Is that you're not doing something that's going into a vacuum, but that it is making a difference for people. And I can relate
And
to
I
that.
could go volunteer at a soup kitchen and, make a difference there.
Hmm.
And this does take my entire day. I'm not going to lie. It's probably about 8 hours worth of work every single day to keep, my program going here. But, people love to go volunteer. It makes them feel good. And that's why I do it. I mean, I'd love to say I'm altruistic, but in the end, it's rewarding for me to see people's lives change and to feel like I'm making a difference. That's why I do it.
I love it. Perfect place to end it. Thank you so much for being here. And how can people find you, if you don't mind? Let's just throw it out here at the end. So if anybody else wants to shuffle dance, go find Shanon.
Yes, please do. I'm on YouTube at Midlife Shuffle. I'm on Instagram at midlife.shuffle, and I'm on TikTok at Midlife Shuffle.
Oh, and how can people find your books?
Oh, yes. My books are on Amazon. I'm the author, Shannon Hunt, and my books are The Pain Colony and The Rage Colony. And the third of the series, I'm hoping will be coming out in the next year or year and a half.
Fantastic. Keep going, girl. I love it. So inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you. It's great being here.
Wow. Wasn't that incredible? Shanon Hunt, I am so inspired by her. She's living proof that midlife is not the time to slow down. It's the perfect time to step into something new, challenge yourself, and have fun while doing it. If there's one thing I hope that you take away from this episode, it's that you are never too old to start. Whether it's dance, or writing, or skating, or anything at all that sparks your curiosity, you just need to take that first step. And hey, if you've been thinking about trying shuffle dance, like me, now you really have no excuse because Shanon's got free tutorials waiting for you. Check her out on YouTube and Instagram at Midlife Shuffle. I'm going to drop links in the show notes for you. And if this episode lit a fire in you, share it with a friend who needs a little nudge to go after something new. And of course, I'd love to hear what you are trying in midlife. Come find me over on Instagram. Late Bloomer Living is my handle. Send me a message. Let's keep this conversation going. Until next time, keep playing, keep moving, keep blooming, and I'll see you next week.